I don't even like sharing my food, let alone my man. Welcome back to my channel. Kids are here as well. So, the book that we're going to be discussing today is called The Wives. It is a thriller. It's a bit mysterious. After reading the synopsis, I felt very intrigued. Cover really caught my eye. I loved the way it looked. It was a little mysterious. And the title, The Wives, plural, had me interested and curious. So the summary is, okay. I need this mic to be closer now. Hopefully this isn't weird. Imagine that your husband has 2 wives. You've never met the other wives. None of you know each other. And because of this unconventional arrangement, you can see your husband only 1 day a week. But you love him so much you don't care. Or at least that's what you've told yourself. But one day, while you're doing laundry, you find a scrap of paper in his pocket, an appointment reminder for a woman named Hannah, and you just know it's another of the wives. You thought you were fine with your arrangement, but you can't help yourself. You track her down, and under false pretenses, you strike up a friendship. Hannah has no idea who you really are. Then Hannah starts showing up to your coffee dates with telltale bruises, and you realize she's being abused by her husband, who, of course, is also your husband. But you've never known him to be violent, ever. Who exactly is your husband? And how far would you go to find the truth? Would you risk your own life? And who is his mysterious third wife? So that is the summary. And let me tell you, when I finished reading that, I was like, that was all I needed to hear. We're reading this. Let's see how it goes. The tags for this book are fiction, thriller, dark, mysterious, tense, and fast-paced, which y'all know is right up my alley, which is why it was recommended to me on Storygraphs. That was actually how I found the book. I swear, every time I try to do something, one of the kids needs me, like every time, which is why I'm not really good at getting content out like I should. It's really a miracle that I even finish audiobooks at this point, because they're at ages where they really, really need me. The average rating is a 3.43, and I actually think that that's pretty accurate. I think if I were to give it a score myself, I'd say it's about a 3.75 to a 4 out of 5, only because I felt that the book was very, very good. I feel like it had an interesting concept, but by the end of the book, I ended up feeling gaslit. I ended up feeling bamboozled, if you will, because it's one of those things where you're experiencing one perspective in the beginning of the book, and then in the end of the book it's a different perspective. There are a few twists and turns as well. I could see why it got rated 3.43. I think I would have rated it a 3.75 though. I didn't really like the ending, but the concept of the story, the way I ended up connecting with the main character, I think that was very unique, and I loved that. I really did. It was different. As you can see, I am in my bathroom now. I'm trying to find a good angle, but I think this is like as good as it's gonna get right now. But I did want to finish up my review here while I have some quiet time. Both of my kids are asleep now. It's nap time. So we're gonna finish up our book review here. Like I said, I read the book, The Wives. My initial thoughts when it came to the book, I thought, I wrote here, like, there's a lot of insecurity right off the bat. And I feel like insecurity is always considered to be a bad thing. But I think that having a little bit of insecurity is healthy, right? Isn't that what encourages you to be better and to improve yourself? So I think that there's some benefit to having a little bit of insecurity, but this level of insecurity that this main character expressed was quite a bit. And I felt that it was centered around her struggles of being a good wife or being the best wife you can be. So it seemed like she was very much insecure about meeting his needs and making sure that everything that he would want in a woman, she was the one to provide it. And I actually could relate. And here's why, right? Because no one really knows why men cheat, right? Or women too. There's many different reasons why a person cheats, but a lot of times I feel and I've heard that there were certain needs that weren't being met. And so because there's something missing, a person in a relationship will then seek that missing thing from someone else. So I think, at least for me, and I could tell from this book, this character struggled with as well. If you want to keep your man, you need to be doing the stuff that you did to get him, and then some, right? Making sure dinner's ready, the house is clean, he's not stressed around you. You want to be his peace and those sorts of things. I feel like she was very, very driven by those things. Those were her motivators, and it was to an unhealthy extent. And I feel as though I could relate in a sense of, I don't have an unhealthy amount of that, but I definitely feel like, especially as a stay-at-home mom, he's gone from early in the morning to late at night. When he comes home, the house is clean, the kids are in bed, his plate is made. All he has to do is get in the shower, warm his food up, eat, and go to sleep. When my man does his part, I do mine, plain and simple. But in this situation, this wife felt the need to do her above and beyond, even though she was sharing this man with 2 other women. In fact, the fact that she was sharing her husband with 2 other women drove her out of competitiveness to be like, I'm gonna be the favorite wife. I'm gonna do all of this. I'm gonna make sure he's sucked and fucked. All of those things, right, before he leaves about this house, because I wanna be his peace. I want to be the one that he's thinking about while he's with her. That sort of mindset, right? So it was very interesting to be inside of the mind of a person like that, and I felt like it stemmed a lot from insecurity and fears of not being enough. So that was a really, really interesting theme there. After reading the book, my final thoughts, I wrote that I don't even like sharing my food, let alone my man. Like, let's just be for real, because I'm just not into that. No. And then it was like they don't even live together. It was like he had totally different setups. Like, no, couldn't be me. And I also felt that because of all those insecurities that she had, she was so desperate for him to choose her and to be chosen by him, that it just drove her to accept things that she deserved more of. Like, she deserved more. And I feel like that desperation led her to be willing to fight for a piece of a man rather than to go find one that was obsessed with her the way she wants to be obsessed with him. I truly feel that desperation is what leads to people settling for a piece of a man instead of going and finding an actual quality one. And again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that. I'm not judging. I'm just kind of analyzing what I saw based off of the behavior in that book. I understood what her feelings were rooted in. I understand where that thought process can come from. I'm a wife, I do this, that, and the third. I need to make sure his needs are met. I need to make sure I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do so that there's no opportunity for anybody else to get up in my spot. Although she put herself in a situation where she felt the need to compete for this man's love, which was, like I said, neither here nor there. And the ending of the book, I didn't really care for it. It explained a lot of things. It made a lot of things make sense. However, I felt extremely gaslit, and I felt that I was led to believe one thing just for, at the end of the book, to be left to question everything. To the point where I'm like, should I reread this? There was a lot of situations throughout where I was confused and stuff wasn't making sense, and I thought it was because I was missing something, or, you know, with listening to audiobooks and my kids constantly needing my attention, sometimes I can miss small details, so I find myself going back and going back and going back. And in this story, I found myself rereading and rereading and rereading. This book was an 8-hour long audiobook, I believe, and it took me 3 days to finish. And you know, everybody reads and listens at to their own timing, but for me, that is not normal. I feel like an 8-hour book, when I first was starting out with audiobooks, I was finishing 8-hour books in a day, knocking them out. But with this one, I found myself rereading. It is a lot, and it's very fast paced, so you have to pay attention. And it definitely threw me for lots of loops, lots of twists and turns in this one. So this is a good book. I would recommend it for anybody who is a housewife or wants to be a housewife. As far as age that I think would be appropriate, I think if you're 16 or older, I think this should be fine. Although I don't think that a book like this would attract a younger audience. I feel that it would attract more mature women who have been married. It is a little spicy. There are a couple scenes in it that are a little spicy, and there is some domestic violence mentioned as well. It's not too bad, but if you are triggered by things like that, that is something that you should be aware of. But it's very, very, again, it's very, very mild. And yeah, just overall, for anyone who loves suspense, I wouldn't say this is quite a Lifetime movie. This might be a little too extreme for Lifetime. But it's also not quite a Tubi movie. But if you love things like Seeking Sister Wife and that sort of things, it's heavy in polyamory. That is all I had to say when it comes to The Wives by Tara. I think that this is a book that is worth the read. Thank you guys so much for watching and staying tuned in what I have to say. If you have read this book, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts were. I feel like it's a pretty popular book. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming video reviews that I have coming for you guys. If you like it here, go ahead and subscribe, like my video so the algorithm knows to recommend to other people such as yourself. And I will see you in the next video.